much question. If you still have questions about it on that level that you like to ask questions, but just, we want to make one caveat. Last week you asked like 6 in a row. That always freaks us out because then the energy goes, and then we don't know what to do, especially last week. So if you ask one question at a time, that is better for us.
Well, you did answer some of them, but I know it was just being processed at the time.
Yeah.
And one of the things that was said was, a week later, we might have more to offer.
Yeah.
So, do you have more to offer?
And it would help us if you told us where specifically you're curious about we have more to offer.
Well, you know, like you nailed it, because with me, you know, it goes right to the, wow, what's the big picture of this?
You like the big picture.
Because I'm all into the hierarchy and all that, and where's this all coming from?
Yeah.
And how big is it, and where does it all go, and how does it fit in?
Do you see how I asked like 7 questions in a row? But this is a really good point.
But it's all along the same thing.
But I know, but this is a really good point, and that's why we said it in the beginning, and then we just went right along with you as if we have no boundaries whatsoever, going like a bouncing pin. What is that? Ping pong? That's how we felt. This is a good example, though. We want to just go back to a tool, because this is a perfect example of what happens inside your guys' brains, is what John just did. And this is where the step-by-step tool is perfect. Because if we did one question, it might make all those other questions not interesting to you anymore. And you don't know. And that's why we said, let's just do one question, because that might open the door to an understanding that if we try to hold the energy of all those questions simultaneously, it almost, you think asking 20 questions at once would throw open all the possibilities. But for us, the doorway is one question, and then we can see what's on the other side. And then that refines the next question. We said set of questions. The next question you might have. Can you guys feel into that? Mm-hmm. And this is really good, especially when something like the seer happens, because the person that's asking the questions, the packet of questions we'll call it, may not be the person who is actually affected by the seer's energy, rather the older version of you trying to still have its way with how you want to have understanding about the world. Right, so let's just have a for instance. This isn't probably what happened, but let's have a for instance to illustrate the point. You have those 6 questions, big picture questions. The seer happens, and the way you have of processing that is to ask that set of 6 questions. If instead you check in with what is true now, what was my experience, what am I actually feeling, what is the inquiry that's alive in me just in this moment, what's the loudest one? That's what we're interested in from you right now. What's the loudest single inquiry? Taking into account that we're here, not the old way of navigating the world, but the here moment.
Is the origin of the seer.
The origin of the seer, yeah. And the interesting thing about the origin of the seer is we're not even sure we have the answer to that question. And the reason is this. Just a second. Everyone went. If we said to you, the 4th planet in the Arcturian galaxy, would that mean anything to you? Does that answer your question? Does that help you in some way? We genuinely want to know.
That would not.
Yeah. When you say, where is the origin of the seer, that's what we think you're looking for.
Then I didn't ask it right.
Okay, good. Can you ask it again?
How does the energy of the seer fit into what we're doing?
Yeah, so it's a very different question, isn't it? Yeah. And see, if we have 6 questions up front, we never get to this one. See? We're using this as a teaching moment. How does the energy of the seer fit into what we're doing? That question we love. That's a juicy question we can talk about. By the way, that Arcturian thing, we just made up whatever we could think of. We have no idea where the Arcturian whatever we said. So don't be thinking, oh, Elohim said. No, Elohim didn't say. What became very clear to us as the seer was speaking was that there was something within you all that you were ready to be introduced to. They called it your essence. Frankly, we find that to be a really woo-woo word, and it bugs the out of us already. But hey, not us to change their word. We would call it the pure truth of you. So that'll be the Elohim way of saying it. The pure truth of you. Because we're always asking what is true now, what is true now, what is true now, what is true now. When we ask you what is true now, we're asking it through baggage and static and habit and survival instinct and fears, right? As if, remember when we had the band? And it's like through all that cacophony of sound, we're looking for your truth. What the seer did was say, we've got it. We've got a hold of your pure essence of truth, and we're going to just pull it a little bit forward so you can have a more intimate relationship with it and let it go and see what happens. And of course, they leave us here to fix it. Like, good thing it went well, wherever you went to now that you're not here. So so it was almost like there's the outward in conversation where we say, what is true now? And we're clearing so that you can see it. And then there's the inward out, which is, oh man, this is my actual truth. Like we did with Gwen. Yours was perfect, right? That, oh. And now, to answer your question, they seem to have given us the gift of helping you guys feel it in your bodies. Helping you guys feel in your bodies, there is something more about me that I'm learning about now. Now, of course, you're not light switches, you're dimmer switches, so it doesn't just, although at the beginning seems to have happened a little, but the processing it, the shaking it out is still happening. That make sense?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So, did the seer come at the invitation of the council? Or how does that happen?
Yeah, that's a good question. You just asked 2 questions, by the way. We're just going to keep paying. We're going to ping you on that because we think there's something for you personally in that. So did the seer come at the invitation of the council? The seer came in a response to the group asking. You were making a request, just like all the council members have come. We came at the beginning, but all the other council members have come in a response to the group asking. Remember we said, you guys want something juicy, don't you? We remember especially you going. You were like, yes, I do. Thank you very much. So we're like, well, okay. So as you pulled the seer in, does the council make room for guest speakers? Apparently we do. And like we said to you last week, that experience, really for the first time, we felt we were on the Veronica side of the equation, meaning that typically all the council members, let's just put the council members over here and we'll put Veronica's body over here, physical body here, and there's sort of a line, which is, this skin, and then all the council members are here. In order for the seer's energy to do what it did, we had to be on this side with Veronica. So it was really like Elohim and Veronica channeled the seer, not Veronica channeled the seer. It took, for lack of better terminology, both of us to do it. So that's why when you were asking us questions, we were like, even though it sounds ridiculous, we don't know what just happened yet. In the same way that Veronica didn't know what just happened. All we knew is that having a short, quiet little visit about things we've already talked about 300 times was a really good way to sort all that out afterwards. Because you have no idea. You just have no idea what it took to put Humpty Dumpty back together again after that one. And because we were on this side of the equation, we were able to help Veronica process that. It's like at the retreat. Remember at the retreat, after the time she fell down, and you were like, and it was your idea, we think. You said, just keep channeling Elohim till you get out of the room.
Yeah.
Exactly the same thing. Veronica can't walk out of the room after that. She's going to fall down, and everyone's going to go, ah! And then you're going to have to drag her into the other room with Rob's help. It was lovely if you weren't there. Veronica's like, all the stories? So it was just like that. In order to do the seer, we had to stay on her side of the equation, which we've really never done before. Other than to walk her out of the retreat. That's kind of different. Walk 15 feet, channel the seer. So for us, it's cool because we get to have a completely different experience than we normally have. Cool.